So I'm here to show you about the Pindefender. This is the Pindefender. These are the current colors that it's being printed in. It's a 3D printed pinball protector for the shooter lane. So there are two different styles of color. So you got the metallic style, which is shiny, has a smooth finish, reflective finish. And then, so that's these 5 on the left, and then on the right, these 4 here. These ones are more of a satin finish, I would say. Not quite as shiny, but still very nice finish, just not as shiny. Those are the two different color styles, and then the actual styles themselves, there are 3 styles currently. The first one, actually, they might be a little hard to tell apart, but the first one, this one's what I'm calling the Spike 2 style. It also fits a lot of WPC 95, Jersey Jack, various others. You'll have to see the Pinside store for a list. But you'll see the kickout has a pretty big triangle kickout here that just lines up with the triangle kickout you see in the shooter lane next to the eject. It's got the same angle. So these are 3D printed, so you want to be aware that they are printed vertically, so they print in layers up like that. That's only important to know because when you 3D print things, they're weakest in between the layers. So what you want to do is not take it and bend it like this, because you will probably break it. You'll find that it might have weak points here. This is really, really thin. If you can see that, that's a 1/2 millimeter. And this part here is more like 2 millimeters, and it tapers down to about 1 1/4 or something like that here. It's okay if one of these breaks off right here, because you just want this most of this piece to hold down under the side rail to be installed, and we'll go into installation shortly. But if one of these breaks off, it's not the end of the world. So if one of them showed up for some reason in shipping, and one of these little tags was broken off, that's probably not bad. What is bad is if these get broken off. You don't want either of these to get broken off, or anything in the main body of the protector. You don't want those to break off. So you don't want to flex them. A little bit's okay. They're still strong when they're installed in the game, but that's just they're just not meant to move in that direction. So the other styles, there is a Stern Sam style, which looks almost identical to this, but the size of the triangle is just in a little bit different location to match those games. And then this is the Bally style, which is what I call it. It's suited to fit my transporter. So you can see one in there right now. There's the transporter, the rescue. And it also fits games that have, the best way I could describe it is they have that round kick out. So you'll see a lot of games like that. Addams Family, for example, it fits Addams Family. There's a bunch of games like that'll fit, but they haven't all been tested. So that's the colors that we offer. Those are the styles, and now we'll get into installation. Alright, so we're going to install the Pindefender on an Avengers Infinity Quest Premium. The first thing I want to do when installing these is take out as many of the screws on the side rail. This thing's what I call the side rail. Take out as many of those as you can. So you want to actually take the balls out of the game, lift the playfield, take out at least 4 or 5. You want to get, I'd say, like past the halfway point on the playfield if you can, so you got lots of room to work with. So in this case, I took out 4. There's one here, one here, one here, and then there's another one I took out. So that gives me a lot of play here. So then if I'm flexing this thing, I can easily lift this thing up 1/4 inch without feeling like I'm going to put undue stress onto it. So I don't think I'm going to do any kind of damage right now. This feels comfortable, flexible. So then you take your protector You flex this upward, you slide it in. So now there's two things to check. First, you don't want the Pindefender to go past the end of the playfield. You can see that. If it goes past, the auto plunger is going to hit it and it's going to break it. So you want that to be flush with the playfield, maybe even a hair past flush. But test your auto plunger if your game has an auto plunger. Test it, make sure it doesn't hit that. That would be bad. That would break. So the next thing you want to make sure is that the Pindefender is centered in the shooter groove, and you can kind of eyeball it to tell how much of the the little plastic wings are on each side of the groove. You want that to be centered so that when the ball rolls down, it touches both sides at the same time. If it hits here, it's going to hang up. If it hits one side and not the other, there's a chance of hang up. And you don't want hang up because then the ball gets stuck and you have to dislodge it or shake the game. And you don't want that. So try to center it dead on. And then one thing you could do, optional, you could clamp this with a rubber clamp, something non-marring, plastic side clamp, something like that. And then put at least this screw and this screw back in, these two here, just to get it held down while you test and take it to the next step for ball roll testing. So after you do some basic testing, ball rolling, make sure that the Pindefender is centered as much as as best as you can get it. Perfectly centered is the goal. You can do some ball roll testing, which is what I like to do before you really start playing the game. So you start the game if you want to, you don't have to, but you want to get a ball in the plunger and just get some light plunges to see that it's super smooth, doesn't hang up. If you get really, really close, just like that one, and you get hang-ups, then you've got it off-center. That's about as close to a hang-up as you're going to see. If it just really gets close there, that should be the worst-case scenario, is that during a really light roll, it just wants to catch, but doesn't. So if you can do that, if you can get it to this point, just like that, you're perfect. And then you can play the game and not worry about hang-ups from that point on, because it should be dead center. Alright, example number 2. Here is a Godzilla Premium. We are going to install metallic green. Looks great, matches all kinds of artwork on the game. Side art, pretty darn close, and it looks pretty sweet in here. So, again, removed 4 screws. Toss them to the side, and we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. We're going to lift, just slide it in. Easy as that. Then we spend the rest of our time centering and getting it toward the bottom, but not too far past. Again, don't want it to be past, want it to be close as you can, but not hitting the auto plunger. That'll cause damage. Looks like I did a pretty good job of centering it for the first pass. This will probably work fine. The shooter groove on this is not very long, so the risk of hang up is basically nothing on this game. If the shooter groove's longer, if it goes out further, that means it's going to be deeper right here, then it's going to be harder to center because the ball sits deeper in the groove. So that's basically it for Godzilla. Pretty straightforward. It should only take you 5-10 minutes to do it, including ball roll tests. So other games, non-Stern games, are, let's just say they're basically the same, but what you need to modify or change on each one is different. I'll tell you, on my transporter here, the best way to do it is to take the apron off, and then also this little shooter gauge, plunger gauge, and then you have free access to slide the protector from the bottom and that's pretty good. So I like to do that. Doesn't take too long. Just take the and you still have to take a screw or two out of the side rail, but not as many in that case. You just need just enough to squeeze it under. So that's pretty easy. So another example, installation example on spooky pinball games. They take the same style shooter, Pindefender as Stern's Spike 2 do. They have the same shape, groove, and the kick out, so they take the same style. But what you have to be aware of is if you look on your game, right next to the trough kick out, there will be a piece of foam, a triangle piece of foam. From what I can tell, those foam pieces are all custom cut on each game, and they're just an extra cool thing that Spooky does. But the negative is the Pindefender's not going to fit unless you remove that. It's just a little piece of 1/8 inch thick foam. You can always put another one back on. If you don't like the Pindefender, you can reverse it. It's not a big deal. But you do have to remove it. To remove it carefully. Then the installation procedure, at least on this, for my Alice Cooper, I chose to remove the apron, and then the top end of there's a couple screws on top of the trough, and then slide it in from the bottom, similar to the Bally style. It was just the safest way for me, and that's the ultimate goal, is you don't want to risk anything, right? So go for the safest way. Even if you got to take a couple more screws out, it's a lot safer, a lot simpler. So that's it. I hope everyone has a good handle on how to install these. I will gladly help you. Just let me know what you're struggling with, or if you want to try these on a game that hasn't been tested. They should be, compared to other mods and stuff that you might pick up out there, this is really an easy one to put in. There's no wiring, there's no, there's not much taking apart of your game like some mods might have. There's plenty of mods on this Avengers that little things I put on that are more difficult than the Pindefender, so I think it's easy. They look pretty cool. If there's a color that you want or something to match your game, let me know. We might be able to pick up a new color. And thanks for watching.